What are the 10 most insanely valuable skills to develop for you, me, and any other filmmaker trying to grow their brand crazy fast? What's up, creators? Anthony here, and the purpose of this video is to really help you accelerate your brand, your business growth, or maybe you don't have a business yet and you're thinking about making money with that camera you have. Well, in my eyes, these are the types of skills that you should be looking to develop. But filmmaker is a pretty broad term, and the skills required for one type may be different than another. So let's refine here. What type of filmmaker am I talking about? I'm talking about the freelance videographer shooting commercials, music videos, weddings, real estate, maybe some events here and there. Really the do-it-all, one-man band kind of filmmaker, looking to get to that 6-figure per year mark. This is essentially exactly who I was when I first started. I'd shoot just about anything if somebody was willing to pay me for it, and my goal getting started was definitely to hit 6 figures. We're not really talking about the on-set assistant working up to those bigger directorial roles, the shooter working for a larger production team, or the film school graduate trying to get into the Hollywood type work. The skills we talk about today will definitely still apply to those filmmakers, but I'm really talking about the one-man band freelancer. I also want to add here that the goal with developing these skills is to make a nice living doing this. How to make money doing what we love. If the goal was purely focused on just shooting the most beautiful visuals ever, the skills we talk about today would be a little different. This is because if you want to make money, there are some additional things you need to focus on compared to just shooting beautiful videos. Then finally, before we dive into the top 10 skills, it's worth noting that these are all on top of the basic fundamentals of filmmaking. So understanding camera settings, the basics of editing and stuff like that. We need those to get started. Each skill we talk about today lives on top of that foundation. Okay, so counting down from the top, valuable skill number 10. Advanced video editing. Now, pretty broad, I know, but let me explain. The more you can differentiate yourself as a filmmaker, the more you stand out and the easier it will be for you to land jobs. Now, when it comes to editing, there are a wide variety of things I would call advanced skills, something that the newbie just getting started probably won't be able to do. This could mean becoming an absolute beast at color grading and giving your work a certain look that just pops like crazy. It could be mastering motion graphics and animations, helping your videos look that much more professional. Another example would be mastering the art of sound design and making the most immersive videos that just surround your viewer with all of this sound. Or it could be unbelievably creative transition work and blowing people away with the trickery of your skillful editing. Now, it would be hard to master all of these, and that's not what I'm saying you should do. But picking just one at a time and going all in, it's really gonna help you separate yourself from the crowd and give your work a distinctive feature. You'll be able to charge more, niche down with a specific type of clientele, work faster because you've developed the systems that only come from mastering something. For me personally, I would say I chose to focus on motion graphics and animations. I work mainly in the commercial advertising space now, and a lot of people will actually reach out to me asking specifically for the type of motion graphics and animations they see in my videos. All right, number 9, quick decision making. Running a business comes with tons of decisions that need to be made on a regular basis. And if you find yourself taking forever to make every single decision, your growth will be slowed down like crazy. Being able to move fast in any business is so freaking valuable. And at the core of that is the ability to quickly analyze situations and act fast. I think of people who are just getting started, it's so easy to get paralyzed with the overwhelming amount of decisions they need to make. Just deciding on when to start reaching out to potential clients can take people months. It's easy to wait for work to come to us, but if you can make the decision to reach out to 10 potential clients per day, that is a ton of work that you will inevitably land if you keep that up. Another aspect of quick decision making is adaptability on set. I don't know if I've ever had a job that went completely according to plan. There's just always something that doesn't go like you initially planned for it. It could be an actor showing up on set that really has no idea what they should be doing. Maybe the client doesn't have the expectations that we thought that they did, or maybe we forgot a piece of gear, which is terrible, but it happens. Being able to adapt, make quick decisions, and continue the pace of the shoot is super important. Okay, skill number 8, mastering movement. So I know personally when I was just getting started, it's so easy to default to just following the motion of the subject with your camera, and that's just the movement within the scene. But as we grow as creative filmmakers, understanding how to use movement as a weapon in itself to evoke emotion, it can be so powerful. Understanding how to specifically plan out and direct the movement of your subjects so you can carefully manage the movement of your camera, it'll level up your work like crazy. And we actually have an entire video on this concept. If you want to watch it, There's probably a link somewhere on the screen for it. So on one side of the spectrum, we have understanding powerful movements and how to use them. On the other side of the spectrum, when it comes to mastering movement, we also want to just perfect the simple things. It's easy to slap our cameras on a gimbal nowadays and just kind of get complacent with the level of smoothness we get. Remember though that a gimbal is an instrument like the piano, and it really does take consistent practice to level up the quality of your movements. Those micro shakes that a lot of people still get with gimbals, it's not some problem with your gimbal. It's really just something you naturally learn to tune out over time by compensating with the way your body moves. So really with this skill, it's a combination of knowing how to powerfully use movement, almost as if it were a character within your scene with its own personality and agenda, combined with a professional level of control with your movements that really only comes with practice. Now building off that, skill number 7 is mastering your current gear setup. Again, something that I should have focused on way more when I was getting started. What I mean by this is forgetting about all of that other flashy gear that you may want to buy and just focusing on what you already have and getting as good as you possibly can with it. Bruce Lee has a famous quote that goes, "Don't fear the man who knows 1,000 techniques. Fear the man that has practiced one technique 1,000 times." Inspirational, I know. But with filmmaking, it's so easy to buy tons of gear, but then never really master that piece of gear. Instead, quickly pivoting and looking towards the next piece of gear. It's super fun to buy crap, don't get me wrong, but again, in the pursuit of making money and not spending it, mastering a small arsenal of gear can actually benefit you like crazy. I think of super inspirational filmmakers like Daniel Schiffer. When he was making a name for himself in the film world and on YouTube, he was using one middle-range camera and just one lens. Almost all of his super popular videos were shot on the same exact setup. The dude got really freaking good at his current setup without worrying too much about complicating the process with way too much gear. He's a great example of the man who's practiced one technique 1,000 times. So even if you have one camera that you're not super thrilled with and just one lens, I promise you, if you practice and practice with that one setup, you will speed up your growth like crazy, allowing you to land better jobs, which will in turn make you more money and allow you to buy that next piece of gear rather than just sit and wait for the savings to magically grow. All right, moving on, skill number 6 is scripting and storyboarding. So this one applies a bit more to the commercial sector than maybe weddings and other event stuff. But personally, I know this skill seriously upped my value to clients. When I first started, I was a kid with a camera. I'd show up on set for my clients and we'd kind of just film things to where I'd then piece an actual story together in the editing room after the fact. Nowadays, when people hire me, I take a look at their brand, what they're selling, who their clientele is, what their desires are, and with that info, I script out a sales-driven video. This way, when we show up on set, I know exactly what needs to be captured, what interviews I need to run, and so on. This means when my clients run these videos as ads or post them on the landing pages on their websites, the odds of the video driving serious sales volumes increases like crazy. This means my value to my client has increased a ton. The odds of them hiring me again has increased, and even better, the odds of them agreeing to sign a retainer contract increases as well. And this is actually how I run my business today. Practically all of my clients are on retainer contracts where they pay on a monthly basis, and I know one of the main reasons they keep me on long term is because I handle everything from scripting to shooting to editing and actually managing the ads as well. All of this produces them a direct return on investment. Okay, skill number 5 is communication and people skills. This one is crazy important. Remember, this is a personal business and you are your brand, and you need to be able to really wow people with you. It's much easier to hire people who you genuinely enjoy being around, and the easier you are to work with, the more fun work will be. Being a solid communicator is powerful for tons of reasons. You're going to have happier clients, get more positive reviews, more people are going to refer work to you, more clients are going to come back to you on a recurring basis. The list goes on. People skills also means understanding how to act in negative situations, like learning how to accept criticism without getting too emotional. I see a lot of filmmakers nowadays get super upset whenever a client of theirs says they don't like something, or if another filmmaker gives them negative feedback on their work. Especially when it comes to client work, you have to remember to be the bigger person, and that they're your client, and at the end of the day, it's your job to make them happy. It will benefit you in the long run, and on top of that, usually any negative feedback stems from not setting expectations properly in the beginning. So keep in mind, the more you can outline how things will go from the beginning of your interactions with your client, the less negative feedback you'll get down the road. Moving on, skill number 4, creative development. This is probably one of the hardest skills to develop. The ability to picture something in your mind, all of the different angles and the small details, and then turn that idea into a reality. I'm still working on getting better at this every day, as I am with really all of these skills. But anyways, I think about the best painters in the world. They're literally able to picture something completely in their mind and recreate it on paper. The same thing should go for film. If you're anything like me, you probably constantly have ideas that you want to create, but then you kind of struggle with the strategies necessary to actually create that. Whether it be the movements, the angles, the lighting, the editing, and so on, there's just a lot that goes into it sometimes. So how do we get better at this? It just takes practice. Make a habit of coming up with a simple idea on a weekly basis that you then try to turn into reality. Don't expect it to go perfectly each time. But every time you do this, you're going to learn a new aspect of something that will help you turn the next idea into a more clear reality. Doing this regularly will make the paid work you do for clients better, and eventually you'll be able to come up with insanely creative ideas that you actually can create with ease that only further helps you separate yourself from the competition. Another great practice exercise, don't just copy the trendy videos you see on YouTube. Try to break them down into the fundamental components. How do they do the lighting? How do they move their camera? The very simple things. When you're able to break the complex videos that you see into simple fundamentals, it's much easier to recreate them, but add your own personal touch to them. This is gonna make you a better filmmaker rather than just copying the trendy videos you see online. Okay, we're getting to the big ones here. Skill number 3 is sales. I cannot stress how unbelievably important this skill is. In fact, I think that if you develop this skill and you really hone your sales ability, you will separate yourself and put yourself above 85 to 90% of most freelance filmmakers out there who kind of just avoid sales and sweep it under the rug. Especially if your goal is to make a livable income from filmmaking, sales is just something you can't avoid. Whether you're selling commercials, music videos, weddings, real estate videos, you need to understand this. Most people resort to sending simple pricing guides, defaulting to hourly rates, or worst case scenario, working for free. Now, at the very beginning, it is okay to do a few jobs for free here and there to grow your portfolio, but what happens to a lot of people is they fail to understand the true value of what they're offering, and then they get stuck trying to justify anything more than a few $100s. The best advice I was ever given was to stop selling pretty videos and start selling solutions. People will only pay so much for pretty videos, but they will pay way more for genuine solutions. Now, that's a little bit more obvious with commercials, but think about a wedding video. Yes, they want a pretty video, but what they really care about is that first moment they see each other on their wedding day. The drone footage capturing the beautiful venue, the massive party at the reception afterwards. Every couple has a unique situation that requires unique solutions. Learning how to run sales meetings, asking the important questions, and fine-tuning your offer as the specific solution to their problems will help you increase your rates like crazy and land bigger deals on a more consistent basis. Always remember that you're selling a vehicle that will get the person you're talking to the destination they want to get to. Whether that's more members at their gym, faster sales of their real estate listings, more avid listeners to their music, and so on. If you don't understand where the vehicle you're selling is taking your prospect, you won't be able to sell it to anyone. The best thing you can do to get better at sales is to have more sales conversations. More meetings, more phone calls, video chats. They just need to be real conversations, not broken up email threads going back and forth with each other every other day. It might be painful to have prospects say no to you in person or over the phone compared to simply over email, but you will level up your sales skills so much faster if you force yourself to have meetings with people to learn their problems and better communicate the value of your offer. And think about it, if you get really good at sales and you learn how to sell retainer jobs, you only need to sell 4 clients on $2K per month packages, and you're right around $100,000 per year from just 4 clients. All right, moving on, big skill number 2. You ready? Any guesses? Well, in my opinion, it's lighting. Now, I know I said filmmaking is more than just capturing pretty videos, but pretty videos are still a big part of it, and there is nothing that impacts image quality more than lighting. I don't care what camera you're filming on, a cell phone, a mirrorless camera, cinema camera, and so on. Lighting is what takes an image to the next level. Unfortunately though, I think lighting might be one of the hardest things to master when it comes to actual filmmaking skills. There are so many different aspects to it. From understanding how to use natural light, practical lights, professional studio lighting, using light to evoke certain emotions, the list goes on and on. I use this analogy all the time, but it's kind of like learning how to ride a bike. You can read books and watch YouTube videos on how to ride a bike, but until you get on that sucker and fall off a few times, you really aren't going to learn much about how to ride a bike. With lighting, you learn by doing. So again, with this tip, my best advice is to spend time filming with the sole focus on lighting and how it impacts your videos. I think one of the best exercises I've ever done to get better at lighting was simply sitting my girlfriend down, thank you Courtney, hitting record on my camera and just moving lights around, trying to get all of these different looks in my brain to actually show up on my camera. Even if you don't have any lights, you can use practical lights lying around your house, natural light that already exists in your scene, and so on. The more you can form those links in your brain between how your lighting is set up and the look it creates in your scene, the easier and faster you'll be able to do it on set with clients. All right, the grand finale, big skill number one, the absolute most important thing that practically every single successful filmmaker I've ever met has down to a T. It's hustle and work ethic. Now I know it's not the sexiest skill in the world that you may have been hoping to see, but I'm being completely 100% honest when I say this is the single most common trait of any successful filmmaker that I know. I don't know anyone who just casually makes six figures as a filmmaker or just casually works at turning their dream job into reality. Everybody, whoever started something big for themselves, they had to grind. I don't care what business you're in. They had to take jobs that they weren't thrilled about. They had to send messages to prospects even though they might not have wanted to market themselves anymore. They had to say no to that party with their friends that they wanted to go to and instead work towards building something bigger. But all of these small sacrifices bring us closer to the finish line that we're working towards, the bigger jobs, the projects we're super passionate about, and the people we really want to work with. There is absolutely no shortcut to success in this industry, no secret skill or advanced filmmaking technique that will skyrocket your growth. The beautiful thing here though is that lots of people don't want to work hard. They aren't willing to make the sacrifices and so on. What this means is that all you have to do is work hard and you give yourself a massive competitive advantage. And if you combine working harder than most people with all of the other skills we've talked about in this video, you have yourself an insane formula to accelerate your growth like crazy. This really is one of my favorite things about the filmmaking industry. The formula for success is so dang simple. It just takes a little work. I like to think of it like a train taking off from the station. It takes a ton of energy to get that train up to speed. But then once the train is cruising, it takes so much less energy to keep it moving. And that's the reality here as well. Getting started, there will be some bumps and you'll need to work hard, but each bump you overcome, that's one more bump behind you and one less in front of you. And if you can think like that, you'll never lose steam in your progress. Now, that does it for my personal take on the top 10 skills any freelance filmmaker should focus on to speed up their growth. There are obviously tons of skills that were very close contenders on this list, but I had to trim it down based on my experience and the countless people I've seen grow in this field as well. Let me know in the comments below, what's the number one skill that's impacted your growth? Is it something that I mentioned on my list or was it completely different? If you did like my list, why don't you go ahead and just gently tap that like button underneath this video and maybe subscribe if you really feel inclined to. It helps with the algorithm. Now, for those of you who found this video valuable and want to speed up their growth even more, learn how to produce cinematic videos that land you higher paying jobs, and appreciate step-by-step walkthrough trainings, I think you should definitely check out our online program, 14-Day Filmmaker. The course is a streamlined beast that goes over everything you need to get started or improve the skills you already have. Whether you're trying to make more money with your camera, shoot better videos for your own YouTube channel, script and shoot commercials for your own business, or really anything you can do with the camera, this program will help you do exactly that. It's called 14-Day Filmmaker because in just 14 days of watching our content, you will have leveled up your skills like crazy. But it doesn't stop at just 14 days. We have well over 100 videos in the program, free downloads like tons of sound effects, pricing cheat sheets, gear buying guides, a private community of filmmakers just like you, and we even do weekly live Q&A calls where you can ask questions and get answers in real time. We actually just passed over 20,000 happy students. So if you want to join one of the fastest growing online communities of filmmakers, there's a link to learn more about that program in the description beneath this video. Oh, and I forgot to mention, it's also insanely affordable. It's going to cost you less than one grocery bill ever would. But aside from that, thanks for watching. Give us a like and subscribe if you found it valuable, and I'll see you in the next video.